stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I want to welcome you to this episode of the Unpleasant Blind Guy on the Exceptional Conservative Show. Now remember, if you want to contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions, I'm available at UBG Contact on Twitter, or I can also be found as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Mumblet, the Tea Party Community, Spreely, Minds, MeWe, or Gab. Now let's begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce and some present to others my very good friend and one of the great conservative commentators of his time, none other than the Unpleasant Blind Guy, Dave Milner. Good evening, sir. It's a great honor and pleasure to have you on the air with us tonight.
Again, it's really an honor to be on air with you, my friend. And one thing that you can be certain of, even though I'm not a man of means like your first guest, I do have batteries in my smoke detectors. So you won't be hearing that in the background. I mean, I don't know what dude spends his money on, but that's really not a reassuring sound to hear in the background from a guy trying to start a credit union.
Not indeed at all. And I just want to thank you for recognizing my Irishness in the chat room, sir.
Well, that was Mary. That was Mary.
Oh, Mary. Okay, Mary, love you, Mary. That was you. Smooches to you. Love you, Mary. Irish, Scottish. I'm not black anymore. I'm Hebrew. For a guy, it's amazing how he can differentiate the Hebrew by the color of skin, but he doesn't see white people. Wow. Is that kind of fun?
Oh, as he was talking and saying that they were the true Hebrews, and Hebrew is not a language, you notice I said in chat, that's going to surprise a whole lot of people in Israel. I don't know if they've heard that news yet.
No, and then he distinguishes himself that he's not a Hebrew Israelite, you know. That's not why they did it, but everything he said aligns with what the Hebrew Israelites would say. So, right. You know, stop faking the funk is what I'm saying. Stop faking the funk. Mm-hmm. If you are a bank for a terrorist group, say I'm a bank for a terrorist group. It's okay. We're all right with that. Aren't you all right with that, sir?
Oh, yeah, I'm all right with that. Sure. I'm absolutely all right with that. Be honest and upfront. Especially, listen, for a terrorist group, they'd get all sorts of investors off the left these days. And because the masks are off, they're just open about it now. So, yeah, he'd get all kinds of investors. Yes, he would.
You know, he was one step closer to getting to Mini Mike. You know, he should have just been open. You know?
Yeah.
Should have been open. So I'm quite certain that they are checking right now on all the websites. But trust me, I have downloaded copies of everything off their website. So you won't have to worry about anything. I don't have to lie. I have never lied on my program to you all about information that I get. I give it right to you. It's people like him who have to figure out all the other lies they've told so that they can get the lie straight, the one they get ready to tell you. So,
oh yeah,
you sir, you are a very close friend to Pete Buttigieg.
Well, I wouldn't say a close friend. I would say one that has done a little bit of analysis on what I think his next strokes, and maybe a bad choice of words, are going to be in the campaign. Let's say his next strategic move. I'm not even sure that's good. Anyway, what he's going to do next. Let's try that. Okay.
Next step.
Yeah. Next step. That's good. That's good. Because ever since late last year, there have been surveys out about him where he is not polling very big with black people and with Hispanic people. And
don't you mean Hebrew?
Oh, yeah, Hebrew. Excuse me.
Hebrew.
Got to be PC up in Yeah. And you can say it's because of his gayness or not. But he's trying to find some way to get himself ingratiated with the black voter base, because he doesn't seem to be doing that at this point. And Ken, if you don't mind, I'd like to
No, go right ahead.
I'd like to do my bona fides here, because last night when I said in chat that God will judge the gays, you said I was making a judgment, and I was. But people need to understand that when I say that, it is always implied, first of all, that I understand that God will judge me too. We are all fallen, we are all sinners, and we will all stand before God's judgment when we croak. This isn't anything against gays per se. I don't want to see a gay person harmed or anything of that nature. In my counter-jihad work, obviously, I'm against the Mohammedans that want to do these terrible things to gay people and all of that. So let's begin from there. Now, that said, I will be open, and I know some of your viewers are going to go crazy about this, and say that there are two things about gayness that do bother me. Number one, and the least important, is I ain't interested, so stay away from me with it. And number two, the vastly more important, is keep it away from the kids. And the thing is that the rainbow jihad, the gay mafia, however you want to frame the gay community, is not keeping it away from the kids. It goes from gay couples adopting kids to drag queen story time in libraries and things of that, to having to turning their some people's sons into drag queens and having them do strip teases at clubs in front of adults. It's getting to the point where it is starting to get into the area of pedophilia, and I do not have any tolerance, Ken, for that. Now, if people have a problem with that, then I'd be happy to sell them a ticket on the SS Bite Me. It sails every day.
Yeah.
Now, here's my deal, Ken. About I sent you a video from Pete Buttigieg, where he talks about where he rolls out basically his strategy for connecting, in my opinion, and you can disagree with this if you want, with the Black and Hispanic communities. And the title of that is Buttigieg says white Americans can't be defensive when talking about race. So the quote unquote conversation he wants to have and is so anxious to have is, let's say it was some people having a conversation with me would be a one-way conversation where I would just have to keep my mouth shut, be told that I'm responsible for all the evil in the world, that racism is part of my genetic structure, and I can't respond. Which that might go very well with some of the people, Ken, who you have highlighted on your program, some of the people who have gotten into gangs and beaten up white folks and things of that nature, the quote-unquote woke community. But I'm not sure how it's going to fly with not only white Trump supporters and white conservatives, but also white Democrats. What is your view of this? Because I wanted you to see this in relation to what he's talking about when he's talking about national security, and I'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah. See, I'm of the opinion when it comes to both Buttigieg and Mini Mike, that right now neither one of them has a clear-cut offering that's acceptable to Black Democrats, beyond the fact that they're Democrats, meaning that, the majority of people would sit home rather than vote for either one of them. And those that would go out, are not going to necessarily be enthusiastic. So in terms of those particular individuals now strategizing how they're going to get Black people to forget that they ever said that Black people were the reason for the crash of the economy in 2006. That was Mini Mike, people. Mini Mike. Go back and check.
Oh, yeah.
and Pete Buttigieg, whose own employees basically stated that he spent very little time dealing with the race issues in South Bend. I don't think either one of them, especially with, Black liberation theology has been doing a hard drive on convincing people that God loves you because you sin, which requires a godless God. You know, He loves you because you sin. No, God loves you in spite of you sinning. So those are two different things. And so what Buttigieg and Mini Mike will be depending on is the work that has been done by preachers over the course of 100 years in terms of decimating people's understanding of the Bible. Because I don't know about you, but if you go into a mega church, if you can find a Bible in the pew, it's because someone left it there. Church off of it. So you're talking about a group of people who are completely off the Bible whatsoever. They, and will be susceptible to a Hebrew telling you that they can't see how black you are, even when the lights are on. So, if you're into that kind of thing, it'll work for you. You'll vote for whatever. But the majority of black people, I feel, are going to be sitting home right now saying, you know what, I don't like Bernie, I don't like Mike, Joe's not going to win, and Pete's a fool. So, I'm not one of those. I'd rather sit home and watch Donald Trump win.
Well, especially if there's a job and personal power at the end of it, which money equals power. This is one thing that years ago, Tammy Bruce, who's written a few books and who had a show at the time, I don't know if she's still doing one, said personal money through a personal job is personal power. If you have money, you have the power to go to political events, move where you want to, buy the things you want to, do the things you want to, especially if it's not tied to a government program. These things are personal power that I think some people may be just discovering. That, oh yeah, I can do this, and I don't have to let the welfare know that I did this, because I did it with my own paycheck, which would seem to me to be extremely attractive to people. If you take my meaning.
Most certainly. Now I want to ask you, because you had made mention of the fact that, or had not yet made mention of the fact that Joe Biden is in South Carolina. I don't know that you knew that. It seemed like he was racing to get there. And that he went down there and he put together a commercial to reach black people.
Oh, boy.
The commercial was a actual ventriloquist act of Hillary Rodham Clinton when she went to the black church and said, "I don't get no ways tired." He did the exact same thing. And I'm just going to ask you, do you really think that black Democrats are that simplistic as to say, because he said something churchified, that I got to vote for him?
Not anymore. And I say that because there are people who make the mistake that black people, white people, any singular group of people are all one homogeneous mass that all think the same way. And no, I don't think that you can go down into a black church and pretend to quote unquote talk black and fool a lot of people. It brings it back really to a question that I was kind of asked in a way when I would come into Lonnie Poindexter's chat room in the Churbans back in the day, and it was sort of asked, well, why are you here? You're not black. And I said, well, I'm not. First of all, I'm not trying to be black. I'll never know what it's like to be black. But I went in there for the fellowship and the Christian love that was in there. Do I understand what it is like to be treated as less than? Yes, I do. But I'll never understand what it's like to be a black man, ever. And I would never try to do that. That would be completely disingenuous. That would be as disingenuous as Cooey over there with his batteryless smoke detectors, okay? And Biden cannot get away with the same thing. He will get away with it with some people, and this is the reason, Ken. Biden will get away with it with some people because he looks the most like the Democrat that they're used to hearing lies from. Okay? Yeah, he's not a woman. He's not a young gay man. And he doesn't look like the Crypt Keeper. So that may well come about. And I'd like to say a little bit more about Buttigieg. At the end of the video, which I mentioned, and you guys can all find this on YouTube, right, he says that it is a threat to national security, all of this quote-unquote inequality. So he's implying that there is a white supremacist under every bed. Okay, and we have to stamp out this white supremacy, and you see it in the culture, too. There's a new series, I don't know if you've seen this, Ken, coming on about Nazi hunters. Oh, there are Nazis in America right now, and this is about Nazi hunters. Nothing about Islamic terror or anything of that nature, just Nazi hunters. It all comes along with this faux line that white supremacists are a rising terrorist group, and people have to be afraid of them. And when he talks about national security, what he's really doing is he is trying to tap into the same thing that an individual was tapping into, who I also sent you an article from through Memory. Now, for your viewers, Memory is the Middle East Media Research Institute. It's an aggregator that pulls stories from various Mideast media sources. And you guys can go there and check this stuff out, and it'll blow your mind. The particular story that I sent you came out on February the 3rd. And the headline is, Hassan Rahimpour Azgadli says, we should use blacks in America to cause the U.S. to disintegrate. Bloodshed through jihad is a form of mercy to the world. So you have people, you have Mohammedans who want to use black people to wipe out the United States of America. And if I were a member of any group, it would annoy me greatly to have some individual, I won't use the word that I was going to come back and say they want to, quote-unquote, use me and use my people and use the real struggles with racism that there actually is in this country. That's the thing, Ken. When Buttigieg is talking about national security, he's not talking about that threat to national security. He's trying to twist it around and turn it into a quote-unquote threat to national security, which requires the election of socialists to end racism. And I have to tell you, Ken, electing socialists isn't going to end racism.
Yeah.
There are socialist countries all over the planet where there is racism, and I'm sorry, some of the people watching this show, that I'm sorry to tell you that racism is not something that is just endemic to the DNA of white people. It is in every country that you can imagine. And sometimes it's pretty blatant. I mean, Japan, I admire their culture and everything, but are they racist towards whites, blacks, Americans, people like that? They call us gaijin. All right,
Yeah.
that means savage. And a little known fact, there is a group of native Japanese people, much like American Indians. When the Chinese originally came over to the Japanese islands, they began pushing these people off, further and further into, this other island, and they're on that island now, and they ain't letting them off, and they're dying off. Okay? And that's only one example, Ken. That's only one example, because Satan is always working. And I guess my main message here is, don't let Buttigieg use you as a tool. Okay? If we are all brothers and sisters in Christ, it's not going to make a damn what color we are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to matter. So that really is my message, and that's what I think Buttigieg is doing. That's the only way I'm thinking that he can possibly connect with people of color. Am I even close?
I think you're right in the ballpark. The problem here is that you have a lot of black people who have been so indoctrinated from Sunday morning in the pew to Monday morning at the workplace and also at the desk at school. The indoctrination has been strong, and it's difficult to get rid of that indoctrination to go back to critical thinking and see what's in your best interest. And so insert here, orange man bad, any other man good. That has E behind his name. And the unfortunate thing is a lot of people just go along with that. They're happy with that. They're satisfied with that. And they'll continue to vote themselves into their own demise. One of the things I was thinking about while you were talking is that a lot of people have a very rude idea of what law is supposed to be about. Law is not entitled to eliminate anything. Law is to remind you that you need to check yourself, or the community will check you. And so when we look at people who say that they're going to create a law to eliminate climate change, and they're going to create a law to eliminate gun violence, you're not going to eliminate evil. Evil exists. It will always exist. And it is the right of men to protect themselves against evil. First with the Bible, second with their gun, and third with their army. You have got to protect yourself from all evil at all times. That's just my thought. Your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to law, and I hate to say it, but I'll use part of a statement that President Obama gave when he was working for constitutional guarantees of welfare. He was saying that the Constitution protects the people by creating law that says what the government cannot do to you. And that is why the Bill of Rights is such a good thing. It lays out in those 10 amendments what the government cannot do to you. It is for us as private citizens using self-rule to decide the rest of it, in my opinion. But that is the strength of our republic, not our democracy. And I'm really glad that you are staying with the word republic, because I've even heard conservatives I respect, calling what we have here a democracy, and that is absolutely not what we have here. It is a constitutionally federated republic. Prof, love you, man, if you're listening. And that's, and it's a good thing it is. Oh, my God, Ken, I almost called you Jeff. What the hell show am I on? Okay. Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's just going to confuse me. No, we have a republic, and it's a good thing. Your listeners should understand this, and your viewers should understand this. It's a good thing that we have a republic. And why? For instance, when we elect a new president, all right, his cabinet secretaries, or her cabinet secretaries, if it's a woman, have to go through a Senate confirmation process. Now, that's often fairly quick, but it still has to be done. The boxes have to be checked, because that's our system of checks and balances. In a republic, you do things slowly so that emotions can't be whipped up and people can't do things on a whim. All right, the difference between a republic and a democracy was demonstrated today in the United Kingdom when Boris Johnson went on a slash and burn and just took out much of his own cabinet, people who he felt were a part of the deep state, or people who one of his main advisors didn't like. I mean, this just happened boom, boom, boom overnight. There was some trepidation about it, and had been for about a week, but this was definitely night of the long knives when this occurred. And probably about the only good thing that happened in it was that Sajid Javid, the Pakistani Muslim chancellor, left the cabinet himself when Mr. Johnson wanted to fire some of his close advisors and put Johnson's own advisors in their place. All right, this kind of thing happens very rapidly in a democracy. And I, for one, Ken, am very glad that we live in a republic where we can consider these things. And where, for instance, to get back to the race issue, all right, we can't listen to that audio that came from Mike Bloomberg, who said, I believe this is while he was mayor of New York, I'm sure you've heard this one, where he said, well, the stats are the stats, but very likely we're probably stopping white people too often and not stopping black people often enough, when he was talking about stop and frisk. Now that would just set a lot of people off, and honestly, rightfully so. Okay, in a democracy, that might make for some really big messes. In a republic, we can respond to that properly.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, my very good friend Dave Milner, you can find him on Thursday afternoons at 3:30, am I correct?
That's right, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, and on Sundays at 3:30 p.m. Eastern.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
There you go, on Blog Talk, no, not Blog Talk.
Yeah, it's Blog Talk Radio, and it's repeated on Spreaker.com through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network.
There you go. Dave Milner, we love you, man. We will see you next week.
I love you too, brother. God bless.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Be a good Hebrew.
I will, man. I will. L'chaim.
And that is it for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye.
The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2020. Anno Domini. Now for Dave's Canes. Extras that help you navigate the new media world.
The dream deferred is real. You've been waiting for the Exceptional Conservative Network, and now it's here. Go to theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. Tune in and get the best in urban conservative talk. Stop dreaming. It's real.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
This is Shannon Wright of The Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Mike's not here, so I gotta talk fast. You gotta join us. Fall season. Getting ready to start up with a whole bunch of new stuff. News and food and politics and sports and entertainment and a whole bunch of stuff. But wait, Mike's coming. I gotta go. Remember, Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern, and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian Sackheads Clint, plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty void in Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.